What's up, guys? Welcome to the Conscious Health Podcast. I'm your host, TJ, health coach and author. And today I have my buddy, Ryley Cribbin here. And I'm going to let him go ahead and introduce himself and what he does.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for having me on.
Oh, yeah.
I am a holistic chronic disease coach. Essentially, I help people with chronic disease improve their quality of life naturally through holistic, decentralized practices.
Cool. Sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it sounds like you changed up some stuff since the last time I had you on.
We've added some depth for sure.
Yeah. Sweet. Nice. Yeah. And today, so the topic is really just going to be all about what we do as fathers and how to keep the dad bod off and what we do to stay fit, because I'm sure me and you both know well now that it's when we stay healthy as fathers, it's a big impact on our kids. So like my daughter is almost 2 and she likes to do pull-ups now. So she like points on pull-up bar and she gets excited. And then I go up there and I lift her legs up and she pulls herself up. And now it's like she has crazy grip strength where sometimes she'll like hold on to things. And everyone's like, wow, how's she still holding on to that? Like she's not even 2. And I'm like, yeah, she's training already. Like I'll do push-ups on the ground. She goes over and she like puts all 4s on the ground and she gets all excited. Awesome. So yeah. So you're just telling me before the call. So your daughter is 3.5 months?
Yes, son is 3.5 months.
Or my bad. Yeah, son.
That's all good. RJ is 3.5 months. And I think just like when you are a healthy parent, there's obviously so many benefits that come from that. Your cognitive function is higher. Your emotional stability is better. Your energy levels are sustainable. And just for your kid to see you like implementing healthy habits in your life, that's going to be a positive thing for them growing up. When they're 3.5 months old, they're obviously not noticing those things, but they're cueing on your energy. And I don't just mean like your energy levels, but the energy that you put out towards them every single day. And if you're a healthy human being, you're putting out a lot different energy than somebody who's struggling internally. So I think it's just about the most important thing that you can do as a human, but especially as a parent.
Yeah, definitely. Well, and it's cool you say that too, because just as we were saying on the pre-call just before this, how my wife has a chronic illness. And so we did a lot of inner work, a lot of therapy, of course, physical stuff, eating healthy and all that as well, sleeping right. And that helped helped her to heal her illness. And then our daughter now doesn't have the illness that is typically passed on in generations, especially in females. And so in a sense, we cured the Marfan syndrome from our daughter when that's traditionally what is going to happen. And so it's cool to see how our healthy habits changing our energy, just embodying more positive emotions, figuring out why we have certain negative emotions stuck within us and letting those go. And so it definitely has an impact on our body and especially our posterity. And so I was going to ask you, so I'm curious because I know when my kid was 3.5 months old, let's talk about sleep for a little bit. So sleep is a very difficult thing for me because I was working like at a mental hospital, or I still work in a mental hospital. But back then I was showing up to work, sometimes off 3 hours of sleep. So I'm like restraining mental patients and I'm in a very stressful environment. And then I'm getting home, helping out the kid, helping out my wife. And so it's a lot of work and it's very stressful. And there was times I really had to calm myself down and really help myself. So it was, for me personally, it was probably one of the most stressful times of my life, with a mix of writing a book, training people, working a day job, taking care of a child. So I'm curious, how do you manage, because of course we can't, if we're staying up helping the kid, helping the girlfriend, wife, whatever, then of course we're losing some sleep, but we have to find ways to deal with that and to stay fit. And just as most dads, if not all, are having issues with this right now. So what would you say to any dads that are going through exactly what you're going through, what have you done to help yourself as far as sleep deprivation goes?
I think that, like you said, you can't eliminate the fact that you're just not going to get as much sleep or the highest quality sleep that you want to get when you have a young child. And if you can be as healthy as possible outside of that, then that's going to aid in your success as being emotionally stable, having energy throughout the day, and being able to perform at your job and at anything, having a better relationship with your spouse. So I think it's really just, for me, I try not to even focus on the singularity of just not sleeping as well, and really just make sure that I'm doing all of the things that I have control of. So kind of like the coined, what am I trying to say here? That control your controllables. And
I like it.
I think if you can do as many things as well as you possibly can, then if you're not getting the proper sleep, then you're doing what you can.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the mindset I had to take on, because like when you have a kid, that's a sacrifice. That's one of the sacrifices you make. And and I guess, yeah, that's basically what I had to end up doing, is because I realized pretty quickly, I'm like, okay, like, and I think one thing that does help is taking naps when the kid is asleep during the day, if you can, if you have a day off or whatever it is. I think that's very important.
Yep.
But I also got to times where my adrenaline was so high from not sleeping that I couldn't even take a nap, because I was just like, my body is making so many survival chemicals, cortisol, adrenaline, all this. I'm just like, okay, what do I have to do next? And gotta clean the bottles, and gotta help the wife do this, and And so I also had times like that. So I think what helped for me was I did a lot of meditating. Even though I couldn't focus very well, and I'm still regaining my focus since having a child, but the meditation has been big. I know creatine also can help with sleep deprivation. So I definitely got back into creatine since I've had my daughter. And now I take it almost every day. And there's a lot of studies you can find out there too, with exercise helping out with and you got to be careful about it, because you don't want to be, if you're so sleep deprived where you're not going to like perform a squat right, or a deadlift or a bench press or whatever, then you shouldn't exercise. But if you're still in that spot where you've had enough sleep where you can manage yourself, like you might be tired, but you can at least just do a proper movement. And then, to me, as long as I can do that, then I just go and exercise, because you can read studies that talk about how they will, a mix of creatine exercise will basically make up for a lack of sleep and help you out in that sense. So that's something that's been very, very helpful for me. So, and I know you how many days do you train a week, or as far as like doing resistance training?
Right now, really only like 2 times a week. I try and get in about 2 very solid hours of resistance training per week, and then we're walking every day, biking.
Nice.
Right now, we're really just prioritizing sun exposure, meditation, proper hydration, and all the things that we prioritized before. But I think it's just when your schedule changes and you're kind of at bay of what the child wants to do, or just you have to take care of them first. So I think it's important to make sure you're doing things like proper diet, proper hydration, and moving your body any way that you can, whether it's resistance training or just getting out for walks or bikes or anything.
Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And it's fun when you what's going on?
A bike just went
by. What was I saying? Oh, and it's fun too once they grow up and become a toddler, because then you can start incorporating movements and exercise like with them, and they can actually start doing some of the stuff that you're doing. So for example, like with walks, it's been very like I guess what me and my wife do with walks is probably you do right now, is we just put her in not a stroller, but those little things, I forgot what they're called. It's almost like a little baby basket. And then a bassinet. We have like the bassinet stroller thing. And we just go on walks with her doing that, and that was fun. And then we of course, went onto a stroller, and then now it's the point where, for the most part, I can take the dog and my toddler, and we can make at least almost a quarter of a mile until my toddler she asked me to pick her up, and so then I have to hold her with one arm, have the dog on the leash on the other, and then I walk the rest of it. And I just switch off arms.
I love it.
And then that's sometimes that'll be my workout for the day.
And like, you can't really ask for much more than that. That's
no,
that's primal movement. I mean, resistance training is fantastic when you can do it intentionally, but if you could go the rest of your life just doing something, then walking and Doing standard human movements is perfectly fine.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. Cool. Oh man, I had a question for you. What was my next question? I'm gonna ask you something. Oh, and so I'm curious, so mental health wise, so I know that I guess, what have you been doing lately to help you with managing stress? Because I know that with us fathers, especially at the beginning, you're learning kind of how to help the wife or girlfriend or spouse, and because I know every father, usually depending on how much they work, it depends on how much they really help out at home. But for me, I've always done the best I can to help out the wife and to be up with the baby at night and all that. And so everyone's gonna be different on how much they do with that. But what do you do mentally to manage like the stress of, I'm sure, because you're really busy being a coach, you're busy being a father, you might be up at night. So what are some things that you do to manage stress that you would recommend to other fathers?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think you already hit a lot of good ones. I think we've already talked about a lot of good ones. Like, prioritizing daily movement is huge. The endorphins that we get from that are key to keeping our mental health good. Here goes the bike again. Guy chose the best time to do it.
Yeah.
And meditation being a huge one, sitting in silence and preferably out in nature. I know not everybody has access necessarily to to the best nature, but we live in the middle of nowhere. So when I can get outside and meditate, that's, I think, huge for people, especially nowadays when we're constantly on our screens and distracted, and honestly building up stress levels that I don't think this planet has ever seen, at least for a long time. Most people are balled up with stress that they might not even know is really there. And if they can detach themselves from technology, even just for an hour a day, and sit in silence, that's been huge for me. And then really just prioritizing nutrition. If we are in nutrient deficiencies, our body is under insane amounts of stress, and that adds up. And if you look around the world, that's what a lot of people are dealing with. They might not be able to pinpoint that, but if you're deficient in tons of nutrients that the human body needs to thrive, then you're going to struggle mentally. So I think that's huge for me.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, it makes sense. And it's been cool too. Of course, ever since my daughter's been born, I prioritize eating mostly whole foods, a lot of nutrient dense foods. And it's cool to see like my daughter, where now she craves blueberries or an apple or chicken, or like things that, like, when I was her age, it definitely was not like that. I was eating, I mean, what was affordable, which was sometimes not the best food as a kid. And so like, I want the sugary cereal and all that. And so it's cool to see how our examples will reflect on them. And like you were saying, even from the moment they're born, our energy is being put out there. And especially babies and kids, they don't have much of an ego. They don't have much of a sense of self that's going to block out any certain signals that they might be receiving from other human beings. So it's been cool because with putting out that energy, they're receiving that, and then they're also able to be healthy like us, to choose certain foods. And I see examples like, oh, okay, like dad's not eating an entire pizza, he's eating an apple and chicken or whatever it is. And so it's like, for example, a meal for my toddler right now in the morning is typically like chicken sausage with blueberries and maybe strawberries. So, and and I don't typically compare my kid to other people's kids, but it's going to be better than a meal that just consists of a bunch of sugar, maybe a few vitamins, but that's it. So, and it's foods that are filling, foods where she's not going to eat for another few hours at least.
Yeah.
Although feeding toddlers can be difficult regardless, no matter what you're feeding them. But
Yeah.
So it's cool to see that, like, in my daughter, where in our household we have very, like, and like we treat ourselves occasionally, like we have chocolate chip cookies on the counter right now. It's like, sure, every now and then, but it's cool to see how you have yourself and your kid in a very controlled environment. Okay, this is what we eat. So when she goes to the fridge, she might choose an apple. She might choose she just doesn't like veggies yet. We'll get there. But yeah, like she's a big fruit girl. And so it's just cool to see how as a parent, your example will really reflect on a young kid. And so it's cool to see how that takes effect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, our choices matter when it comes to our children, obviously. And I think if you can take care of yourself in the best way possible, then that's just going to reverberate into your child's life. And clearly you are thinking of that and doing it. That's awesome.
Yeah. So trying to think how to word this next question I got. So and I'm not a relationship coach, so I don't want to go too much into it. Yeah. But what are some ways that you manage communication with your partner to be able to? So for example, I'll give an example to help mold this question here. Mm-hmm. So like with me and my wife, we would switch off with who's watching the kid and who's exercising, just to try and get that. Or like we were talking about earlier, we would go on walks together. What are some? I wonder if you have any advice on as far as communication with a partner to be able to manage time, to be able to help out the mental and the physical health as far as having a kid. Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of a loaded question. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, that makes sense. I think that just having consistent communication is super important. I think obviously it depends on your situation. Everybody's situation is different. You said that before. If you're a guy who works 10-hour days, for example, like you're in the trades or something and you work 10-hour days, then your communication is clearly different than somebody who works from home and is able to help a lot more throughout the day. But I think even if you do work 10 hours a day and you're not home throughout the day, you can still send a couple messages and just see how they're doing, how the baby's doing. It might not seem like a lot, but I'm sure for the female, it's probably pretty important just to know that you're checking in and providing them with that support. And I think just consistent communication and obviously giving each person time to do the things that they need to do. My girlfriend runs a business as well. We both run businesses. So every once in a while she needs to get on her laptop or her tablet and do stuff. And that's when it's my turn to take care of the baby. And she breastfeeds. So the baby is obviously more attached to the female for the first several months, if not a year. Yeah. But when there's those in-between times where you can do your part, then it's obviously good to do that and to have a connection with the baby in the best way possible. So yeah, I don't know. I think a lot of guys have a weird perspective of like, it's up to the female to take care of the baby for the first few years. And the dad's not connected to the baby until they can do the things like play and stuff like that. But with that mindset, you lose a lot of the deep connection that you can have with a child. And its first several months of its life where their brain is a powerful mechanism. It's just, I think we underestimate that. So yeah. Thanks for sharing. And and for me too, it's been interesting because I have a slightly different perspective from I think most fathers, because with my situation, my wife, so she had her child, but then she had to do a heart surgery soon after. And so she lost out on some of that physical bonding that she would have had with her. But then in place of that, it was me taking care of her. And at one point I even took care of both of them actually, so she could recover from heart surgery. And so it's interesting because I get to bond with my daughter a lot more than I think most fathers get to. And so it's been
it's been cool to realize how much of an impact we as fathers can have, and that I'm sure as fathers just like me, where they've had to step in way more than most just to be able to help out with a partner or spouse having health issues or whatever it is. And so it's been interesting. It's been cool to see that that primal nature of even the father being able to take care of the kid in such an intimate way and be able to help them. And so yeah, becoming a father, it's been interesting because it's shown me certain negative aspects I've had to work on. That like it's kind of been a, what would you call it? Not like a trigger, but a catalyst. Fatherhood has been a big catalyst for me to work on certain things, or even like at times minor anger issues that I thought I had already worked on, or this or like impatience, like certain things like that. So it's been a huge catalyst for me to be like, oh, like I thought I was perfect at being patient, or I thought I was perfect at not getting angry or snapping or whatever. And then I go, oh wow, like I still got this within me. I still got something I need to work on here. So it's been a good catalyst for me to become a way harder working, way just a better human being overall than I would say I was beforehand. So
yeah, of course. It's it goes both ways. We are helping with the development of the child, and they're doing the same for us.
Right. Yeah.
No, that's a great perspective.
Yeah. Cool. Well, we'll go ahead and close it up soon. Is there any other last things that you would want to add, just as far as advice for fellow fathers that are they're on their own health journey, but at the same time they're also balancing the responsibilities as a father? What if you have any other last advice you'd want to share, go for it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a pretty new father, so a lot of people will, it's up to you if you want to take this advice or not. But I think that, I think it's insanely important, if not the most important thing that you can do, to take care of yourself first, because if you are taking care of yourself, you are highly capable of taking care of another human being, whether that's your spouse, your baby, your several babies. Like if you're working on yourself in the highest capacity, then you are more capable of taking care of other people. And I think a lot of people, when they have a child, they think that they need to allocate all of their time and their energy to the child, which in a sense that's true. But if you lack that care for yourself at the same time, then you're actually kind of working backwards and you're working against yourself. So I think when you can be your best, then you can be the best parent that you possibly can be. And you're, what we talked about before, if you're emotionally stable, you're physically healthy, you're full of energy, that's only going to aid in your child's development and overall just the quality of their life.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with that, because I remember being on that sliding scale of focusing actually maybe too much on the child, and there was times where like a mom was over helping them or whatever, and they just be like, and they look at me like, dude, if you want to go work out, do you want to meditate, do whatever you can to go relieve your stress right now, because we're here to help. And so I think it's really important to have family helping out, and just see, like you were saying, when like realize, have a balance of your time and the child's time and the spouse's time, because that is all things need to balance. But when you get the chance to finally go and relax or de-stress by exercising, go ahead and take it. And something that's been interesting is, so it's like for me, I grew up and you see all these dudes with dad bods and stuff, and so you're just kind of assuming that's going to happen once you become a father. But to be honest, I'm in some of the best shape I've ever been in my life. And so I'd say what's really helped me to prevent me from putting on a dad bod, honestly, is just finding time for myself and realizing that my health is really just as much a priority as my child's. Of course, I'd give my life for my child, but while I'm still alive, I need to keep myself healthy so I can live long, live 100%. A quality life, and be able to hang out with my kid as long as I possibly can. I want to be 100 years old doing pull-ups and push-ups and hanging out with my daughter and my wife. And so, I think you touched on an important aspect there, is like, of course, we'd all give our lives for our kids, but at the same time, we would also want to balance out and to prioritize ourselves as well. So that way we can actually be around for our kid
Exactly.
and be healthy. And when I say around, I don't mean be around in the sense that we're super overweight and all we can do is sit in our recliner and eat potato chips and watch them live their lives. We want to be a part of their lives. We want to be going to their sports events when they're older or whatever it is. And so that's what I've realized too. It's like, I'm going to keep spending my time going on walks with her. I'm going to keep spending my time lifting weights, finding time for all that, because I want to be around and I want to be healthy for as much as her or as my kid's life as I can. So,
Yeah.
So very, very important aspect.
Yeah, I think a dad bod is something that society made acceptable when it really shouldn't be acceptable. It's kind of just like it's a scapegoat, really.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You're blaming your child for your lack of care for yourself. And I think that if people can focus on maybe not even the dad bod term, like I'm not saying you need to be shredded and 7% body fat, but you need to be fit and healthy and capable of anything that your child's life brings into yours. If you need to be able to run for whatever reason, you better be able to run. If you need to be able to carry them for whatever reason, you should be able to carry them. You shouldn't be huffing and puffing when you're walking up a set of stairs. And if you look around right now at the people that consider themselves to have a dad bod, I would say it has nothing to do with a dad bod. It has to do with they're severely overweight and out of shape. And I think that that's just an acceptable way it's an impossible way to be the best parent that you can be, because there's no way that your capacity is high enough to provide to your child in the best possible way.
Yeah.
And that might be a little bit severe, like it's controversial, but I don't think it is. When it comes to our children's lives, I think we need to be the best that we can be, which includes being healthy.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And something I've well, especially with like a toddler, like it's one thing when you're a baby. Like I remember I could walk on my daughter and I would just do chores and stuff and just have her on my arm, because like my daughter's a preemie, so I could easily, she was super light. I'd have her head in my hand, the rest of her body in my forearm, and I just walk around with her, holding her like she's a little lunchbox or something.
Yeah.
And so still staying active, just having her in my arm. But now that she's a toddler, it's like I'm doing plenty of cardio all day. As long as she's awake, I'm doing something with her, because she's always getting to something. She's always bringing out a new toy to play with, or she's running around with something she's not supposed to have. And so it always blows my mind. I'm like, how, if you're really doing your job right and you're really participating in your kid's life and you're doing the best to be present and to be in the moment with them at all times that you possibly can, then how's it even possible even have a dad bod? I've not been able to put on a whole lot of weight, because it's like I'm constantly, if I'm not working, I'm with my kid, and so it's like I'm always moving around, especially a toddler, and it's fun. It's a lot of fun, but yeah, it can wear you out in the best way possible. But yeah, no, a toddler definitely will keep you fit.
Well, I think you prioritize your health pretty substantially, and when you're at the very least when you're eating properly, you're not going to be overweight when you have a toddler and you're moving constantly and you're eating properly. But that's kind of the big thing, is most people aren't eating properly anymore, and it's not hard to put on an extra 30 pounds when you're eating garbage all day long.
Right.
And then that translates into feeding your child that, and then we know what happens as they grow up. It's just it's not a good cycle to get into. And if we look around right now, it's pretty prevalent in most of society. So I think when people can prioritize health in their own life, then that's gonna help their kids more than anything ever could.
Yeah, agreed. Well, yeah, and I've seen how, like I mentioned before, like your food choices reflect on your kid, and so it's cool because once you prioritize your health, your kid starts prioritizing their health. Like, oh well, my dad eats berries and meat, and so that's what I'm gonna do. My dad does pull-ups, so I'm gonna go do pull-ups with him, or whatever it is. And so and she does all sorts of things that she sees me do, of course, because we're their examples. And so it's cool to see that, to watch them on their little own health journey.
I agree.
Cool. Yeah. Sweet. Well, thanks for coming on. So let's say that there has been someone listen to this today and they have a chronic illness and they need help with it. How can they contact you? What's the best way?
They can go to Instagram and follow me at Health with Ryley. I guess I'll send it to you and you can drop it in the show notes or whatever.
Yeah, definitely.
And yeah, that's probably the best way. Or they can email me at RyleyCribbin@gmail.com.
Cool. All right. Sweet. Thanks for coming on. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah.